Hi, and welcome back. In this is tutorial number 3, we're going to talk about using the ArcGIS API for Python to access content. And ArcGIS Online and Enterprise provide a wealth of publicly available information, whether this is through the Living Atlas or for content that other people have used or other authoritative sources that chose to host their content on these types of sites. So how do we get at it? Well, it all starts by setting up our environment, and we're going to do from arcgis.gis import GIS. Now we can go ahead and we can connect to either our enterprise or ArcGIS Online. In this case, we're going to use the anonymous user so we can access only publicly available data. If I was within my organization, I would have to authenticate using a username and password or some other form, and I would be able to access content this way. But in this case, in this demo, we're only going to do using publicly available data through an anonymous user. So let's go ahead and connect. We're going to instantiate our variable GIS to the GIS class and provide in no inputs for the GIS variable. So we're going to focus on the content manager. And content is actually kind of a big deal. It allows you to get stuff done, it allows you to do mapping, and it allows you to do analysis. So what does the content manager do for us? The content manager is going to allow us to search for content. If you're authenticated, you can add, update, and delete content. You can share it out. You can create and delete folders. If you're working with vector tiles and you want to basically hot swap the URL endpoints, you can do that using the content manager. And the content manager follows a pattern that you'll see throughout these tutorials, and it has properties and then it has methods such as get, search, and add. And the normal pattern to get it is to do gis.content. And you can see that we get back a content manager class. Now let's say we want to search for content. So we want to find something that we have. You do gis.content.search. In this case, I'm going to look for concert. I want feature layers. So I'm looking for a service. I want to sort by the average rating, ascending, and I want a maximum of 20 items. And we can see that we get back a list of items. So here's each item, and it says the title, the type, and the owner. And these are all publicly available data sets that I can access. If I were to just to say, now that I know that I get back 20 items, if I were just to do the brackets and the 0 and take the first item in a list, I'll get back a different result than what we saw before with the string representation of an item. We get this rich HTML visualization of an item. So when you do a single item, Jupyter Notebooks goes behind the scenes, accesses a special property on the class and says if this is there, represent it like HTML. But when it's within the list and it's just being printed out, it goes to the underscore repr function or the string function. Okay, so that's how we can get multiple lists of items. But what if we know exactly what we want? Each item in ArcGIS Online or Enterprise has a GUID. So you can do gis.content.get and say, give me this item. And this is, each item has its own unique signature, regardless of the item between, no two items will ever have the same unique ID. So you're guaranteed that if you know this item, this unique ID number for the item ID, you'll be able to get it. So we do gis.content.get, and we can see that we get this ocean base map, and it's a web map owned by Esri, and we got back that rich representation. If we were to click on this link, let me just minimize this. It would take us to the page of where this item is. Okay. So the other thing we can do is before the previous search that we have is you can consider that to be a basic search. You can do a lot of things, some minor filtering, but if you want full control over the whole search API, we have a function called advanced search on the ArcGIS API for Python. When it doesn't suit your needs, advanced search is where you want to go to get that complete control. So for example, let's say you want to know how many items there are when we query census in Europe. So we can say return count to true on advanced search, and we'll get back a numerical value. We can see that there's 278 publicly available items for this type of query. We could also do and get back raw results. So we could say, hey, GIS.content.advanced search, return back a list of query um, for this query, and we want to get max items to -1. Now, what -1 means is that it'll give back all 278 items, and we'll see that when we do the list. So now we have all 278 items there. We can also derive stats with advanced search. Let's say we want to understand how these items are tagged, what the content status is, and maybe the type, and then we want to plot it out. So we could do gis.content.advanced search, provide that query, and we want to count these variables here. Let's go ahead and run it. We're going to load in some additional libraries. We're going to say %matplotlib inline. This is going to allow us to graph our chart within Jupyter Notebooks. We're going to import matplotlib as PLT. Then we're going to import pandas. From the stats variable, we're going to parse out the information that we need. So we're going to get the counts information for the type, and then we're going to plot it out in a bar chart. So here we're going to plot it out, and what we get back is the counts for each type of item that was returned back for that count. And we can see how the information is being shared out. We can see the least amount of data that's being hosted out as a WFS service, which is an OGC service endpoint, and the most is a web map that includes those two keywords that we were looking for, which was census and Europe. And then we have a whole host of other data types in between. So it goes map service, web map service, feature service, on down the line to WFS. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and it piques your interest into doing searching within ArcGIS Online to see what's available to you. All right, guys, have a good day.